It's hard to imagine Texas without roads. Most likely, the first roads in Texas began as Indian trails some 10,000 years ago. A number of these ancient footpaths endured, evolving into Spanish Caminos Reales, or royal highways, connecting the heart of New Spain to remote outposts as far east as Louisiana. Later, Anglo settlers used these same roads to carry them west into Texas. This developing road system ultimately provided the blueprints for our modern highways. Recent discoveries by archaeologists, along with preservation efforts by Hays County citizens and government officials, have brought attention to a forgotten portion of this historic royal highway. Beginning just south of San Marcos at Interstate 35 and stretching east towards Bastrop, this section of what was once part of the Camino Real now consists of County Road 266 and Highway 21 in Hays County.
For an archaeologist, the road principally is a footprint on the ground. That is, in most cases, it's a swale that you can follow. In aerial photographs, it's a light line that can be seen on the photograph.
The original roads have been paved over, plowed under, or abandoned to the forces of nature. These ditches, or swales, are located just off County Road 266 in Hays County. These are rare surviving segments of the old road, dating back as far as 300 years. Archaeologist John Clark has spent many years studying this segment of the road.
And it's important to know that the roads connected places so that if one knows where roads are, one knows approximately where old town sites were located. Typical examples of this would be San Marcos de Neve here and other sites that have traditionally been lost sites can now be found since we know where the roads were.
Today, very little remains of San Marcos de Neve, the precursor to the modern town of San Marcos. In existence for only 4 years, from 1808 to 1812, San Marcos de Neve was one of the first attempted Spanish civil settlements in the region. Archaeologists were able to locate the site after completing a study of the Camino Real. Chris Horrell, a graduate student in archaeology at UT San Antonio, has been collecting and analyzing the artifacts found here.
We set up a baseline and just walked 5 meters abreast back and forth across the property and flagged all the artifacts on the surface.
So far, Chris and fellow graduate students have collected and cataloged hundreds of artifacts. Some date back to prehistoric Native American occupation, but the vast majority are of Spanish colonial origin.
The site is potentially extremely important in that it's one of the last attempts by Spain to maintain control in the province of Texas. Basically, what they were trying to do was thwart any attempts by the Americans after the Louisiana Purchase to come in and occupy parts of Texas.
Ironically, the roads developed by the Spaniards for defense and expansion eastward were ultimately used against them by the Anglo settlers heading west. This segment of the road played a significant role in the war for Texas independence.
I'm standing here at the Camino Real crossing of the San Marcos River. Not only is this an inordinately beautiful spot, but historic as well.
It was here that in 1813, the royalist Spanish troops of Elizondo pursued Anglo and Mexican refugees from the Battle of Medina.
In 1836, the New Orleans Grays, a volunteer unit from Louisiana, would have also crossed the San Marcos River very near this spot, marching down the Camino Real from Nacogdoches. Also, former Congressman David Crockett with his Tennessee Volunteers would have also crossed the river here on his way to the Alamo. It's axiomatic that new roads follow old roads when they're able to. And we see that perfectly illustrated here because still, after all this time, we have the modern low water crossing at or very near where the old crossing would have been. It's still a low water crossing, and it's still used today, a remarkable continuity after, well, 300 years of human history along this historic trail.
Ever since the war for Texas independence was fought and won, European immigrants have continued to flow into Texas. The small farming community of Ulen, just off Highway 21, was originally settled by Germans. 85-year-old Martha Ilse remembers the old road before it was paved.
Yeah, it was an old gravel road with rocks on it. We traveled with a buggy and horse from our farm up to see my grandpa and grandma at Mendoza. Didn't have no car. It's quite a bit of changes. Then in 1923, my daddy bought our first car, Model T Ford. We paid $480 for it.
Since 1961, Martha and her family have owned and operated Club 21, an old-style Texas dance hall. Just a few miles east of Club 21 is another longtime resident, Bill Sawyers. His ranch headquarters, just off a dusty section of County Road 266, is less than a mile from Interstate 35.
Okay.
¿Está bueno?
Sí.
¿Dónde mismo?
Uh-huh. Con los 20 y 18.
I've been right here on this place for 40 years. Came here in January of '58. And I've seen a lot of changes right here. There didn't used to be very many people drive up and down these roads, but now there's just a constant flow of traffic. I might need a traffic light right outside my headquarters gate.
The Sawyers Ranch provides some vivid reminders of the distinct cultures that blended into modern Texas. His ranch hand, Santana Vasquez, is originally from northern Mexico and has been working here for 15 years.
Aquí se habla mucho mexicano. Este rancho se habla demasiado mexicano porque el patrón habla puro mexicano. Yo casi, pues yo en inglés no entiendo nada todavía. Ahorita, ¿para qué le voy a decir la verdad? ¿Para qué le voy a echarle mentira? Porque, pues no, como el señor habla mexicano, que pues no me apura mucho. No. Y todos nos entendemos en mexicano, yo y él, pues no hay ningún problema.
I have many times visualized what it looked like 100 years ago and what kind of traffic came down, and I would wish I could see some of the old ox-drawn carts and wagons and mules that they used. I wish I could have seen some of that, and they came right down this road here.
Hays County citizens and government officials are working together to preserve the points of historic importance along this stretch of road.
Texas and Texans are proud of who we are and what we represent. And I think as we're challenged by the growth that is occurring in Texas today and the onslaught of people moving here from other communities and other cultures, it's extremely important for us to try to preserve as much of our heritage and our history as we can. And I believe the preservation of this roadway and all of our other historic efforts that we've got going on in our community are our way of keeping ourselves grounded to our very, very unique heritage and culture.
On this road, cultures clashed, fought, merged, and ultimately continue blending into what today is truly Texas. Along this country road, there are many reminders that these influences are still at work. And while the road changes as it brings change, it will remain a tangible thread connecting us to our past.